Fame is something that a lot of people dream of, but for some of those that achieve it, they learn that it's not all it's cracked up to be, and actually regretted achieving their dreams of fame and success in Hollywood. I'm Mackenzie, you're watching Beyond the Screen, and let's get into the top 10 celebrities who immediately regretted becoming famous. In at number 10, Jack Gleeson. Jack Gleeson was one of the breakout stars of the massive HBO hit Game of Thrones. Jack played Joffrey Baratheon, who was one of the supervillains of the show. This role skyrocketed him to fame overnight. And even though Gleeson enjoys acting, he hated the fame that came with it, especially since his character was awful, and sometimes his awful character would spill over to real life, with fans berating him on the streets and swearing at him because of his role. This negative attention got so bad he actually decided to quit acting altogether and stop his budding career in its tracks. He went back to school, and since graduating, he is now acting in the theaters, where he can practice his craft with minimal fame. In at number 9, Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart is an actress that loves the craft, but she's vocal about her disdain for fame. And she has a unique perspective, being at the center of one of the largest movie franchises in history, Twilight, of course. And while there are tons of celebrities who love the fame and attention, Kristen has always shied away from it. But she does not regret the success that she's had in her career. She's often seen flipping off paparazzi and trying to get away from the flashing lights. In one interview on the subject, she said, quote, "I never valued the fame thing as much as I valued the experiences I got to do while working. And it perplexed me so much. Some people were like, 'You ungrateful a-hole.' And I was like, yeah, completely. I don't want to be famous. I want to do my work." In at number 8, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is one of the most well-known actors ever, as he's been acting for decades. But he often has difficulty with the fame. In one interview, he said fame is, a quote, "a little bit like living like a fugitive. Everything has to be some sort of strategy to get you into the hotel, to get you out of the hotel, to get you into a restaurant, to get you out of the restaurant." And in a 2011 interview with Larry King, Depp said that being a celebrity makes him, quote, "very uncomfortable," adding, quote, "I don't think it's anything you ever get used to. For many years, I could never sort of put my name in the same category as the word famous or anything like that. And because of all this, he decides to be incredibly private about his life online." And at number 7, Kourtney Kardashian. Now that the Kardashians have reached fame to the likes that we've never seen before, it's understandable that not all members of the family are happy about it. The one member of the family that has been most vocal about her desire to live a normal life is Kourtney, saying in an interview, quote, "I don't want the show to end, but I sometimes think I would be so happy if it did and I could just move away from it all." And it's understandable that she feels negatively about it, because it's highly speculated that all the negative attention on her relationship with Scott caused its downfall, because she was the most open about her personal life in the beginning of the show. Because of that sacrifice, she's now the most private Kardashian sister. And at number 6, George Clooney. We all obviously know that George Clooney is a legendary actor, but he keeps his personal life very private because he doesn't like the spotlight. When talking about his struggles with fame, he said, quote, "What's the guy in the big house on the big hill got to complain about? The truth is, the big house on the hill is isolating. There's no other way to say it. There are restrictions to this kind of fame. I haven't walked in Central Park for 15 years. I'd like to, you know?" In some ways, the star said he feels cheated out of a normal life, and he wants to have more of a normal life. He even recently spoke of how he doesn't have a desire to act much anymore. Halfway at number 5, Megan Fox. Megan Fox has recently been very vocal about her disdain for fame and how negative media treatment made her feel horrible about herself. She became a household name thanks to the Transformers movies, but I knew her first from Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, not to brag or anything. At the height of her fame, she spoke about downsides. During an interview with Esquire in 2013, she said, quote, "I don't think people understand. They all think you should shut the F up and stop complaining because you live in a big house or you drive a Bentley. So your life must be so great. What people don't realize is that fame, whatever your worst experience in high school, when you were being bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you're being bullied by millions of people constantly." And at the time, whatever misogynistic attention she spoke about was brushed aside, with people essentially hating on her because of her looks. She was out of the spotlight for a long time because of all this, but recently came back to star in her first movie in years. And at number 4, Macaulay Culkin. This one is somewhat of a given, with how negatively his child stardom has affected his life. Macaulay Culkin has been open about all the downsides of fame, and it was a lot harder for him because his fame was not a choice, and he started acting at a very young age. Despite having retreated from the spotlight nearly 26 years ago, Culkin is still suffering from the backlash of fame. Talking about fame, he said, quote, "I'll take walks at 2 or 4 in the morning because there's nobody out on the streets and it's easy for me to go unnoticed. But even if I don't get bugged, it's looming. It's there. Because of all this, he has chosen to live life outside of the spotlight. In at number 3, Justin Bieber. Although Justin was not a child when he was thrust into the spotlight, he was still very young. And when he gained stardom as a preteen, he reached heights never seen before. Recently, Justin has been vocal about his trouble with fame, and how his insane fame actually made him incredibly lonely. Bieber has also had tons of negative run-ins with the paparazzi that have even turned physical. When speaking about this, Justin said there are people around him constantly. Quote, all the time, and I feel isolated. You're in your hotel room and there are fans all around, paparazzi following you everywhere, and it gets intense. When you can't go anywhere or do anything alone, you get depressed. Even saying that he has regretted becoming famous sometimes. In at number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was a child star who managed to continue his success into early adulthood, but he quickly went off the rails when the fame became too much. Dozens of arrests and social embarrassments have caused LaBeouf to take on some online heat. At one point in 2014, he had enough and announced on Twitter that he was leaving public life. While the actor might still have a profound love for acting, he has expressed his regret for being famous multiple times. He even went so far as to wear a paper bag that had, quote, I'm not famous anymore, written on it at a red carpet. Another time was in 2015 when he told Variety that to be a celebrity is to be, quote, enslaved. And finally, number 1, Dave Chappelle. When The Chappelle Show first came out in 2003, Dave Chappelle became a famous celebrity overnight. But he ended up leaving the show early and walking away from $50 million just to get out of the spotlight. When talking about the decision to leave, Chappelle said, quote, Chappelle shows like breaking up with a girl and you still like her. But in your mind, you're like, she's crazy. I'm not going back. Apparently, fame was a big part of the reason that he left, adding, quote, fame is not that kind of scary, but it is. Fame is a horrifying concept when it's aimed at you, you know? At the end of the day, you don't have that much control over it. You just try and conduct yourself as best as you can. Adding that he's much happier now that he took time to rest, develop a relationship with his kids, and live normally outside of the spotlight. So that's all for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts below. But before I go, I'm going to shout out some comments from my video on celebrities that destroyed their careers on Instagram. One user said, honestly, I don't see anything wrong with the rant of Lana, and by the way, I don't even like her. Yeah, I think it's a tough thing. She just kind of dug herself into deeper and deeper holes, and I think just celebrities like that just need to learn to not, put their opinions on social media because they're gonna get a lot of backlash and it's not even worth it a lot of the time. Then Miss Romy said, you're super adorbs today, Mackenzie. Thank you so much. Then Katie said, Demi, that was really petty. Could not agree more. That was insane. Alright guys, that's all for the video today. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you made it all the way here, if you liked the video and want to see some more, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And they actually regretted achieving their... The one member of the family that's been most vocal about her disdain to... The one member of the family that's been most vocal about her desire to live alone... Oh my God.